Hello, everyone. I'm Colleen Ferrary with Small Business USA, and I am here with one of my favorite, most gifted, talented marketers. And I also have to share that he runs one of our boards and is one of my favorite peer advisory captains, has made a huge impact with the groups that he's working with. Tom Fleury. Thank you so much for coming on board, Tom.
Glad to be here, Colleen.
So today it's 20 minutes, fast. We're going to teach some people something, right? That's our goal here. So, you know what I found is with business owners, small and medium-sized business owners, they get lost in all of the minutia around marketing. So today, I want to just cut through the crap. I want to hear what Tom Fleury has to say about what's right, how to do it, and how to make sense out of all the marketing chaos that's out there. There's so many different tools right now. People are listening to so many of the wrong things, and they're trying to do everything. So, Tom, why don't you first tell us about your business a little bit, and then
Sure.
Let's jump right in to how do you make sense here and how do you prioritize?
Thanks again, Colleen. I'm a small business advisor, and what that means is I get into people's balance sheets, their P&L, and often get into their heads and really try to figure out what's going on and what they're really trying to do in their business. I've been doing this for 13, 14 years now, and one of the things I've gravitated toward is I have sort of a special skill that enables me to put people in their seats and view the world as they view them, as they view the world. With that said, sliding right into marketing, I ask people two questions. And those that are going to hear this, that know me, are going to go, oh, here goes Tom again. He's always saying these two questions. But it's really important because most people can't answer the second question. First question is what business you're in. And most people can get that out of their mouth fairly cleanly, and it's on paper and it's on the internet. That's fine. But when I ask them, why are they different? They start to espouse in paragraphs, pages, on and on and on. And what I believe is the biggest problem is most people, when they start their business, they start thinking marketing, albeit that's the right place to start. We need to get sales. But the problem today is, as you said earlier, there's so many things out there. They start listening to everyone and going, well, I'll do this, I'll do that. And they're like little squirrels that are high on rancid nuts, running around like lunatics trying to figure out what's going to work.
We see it every day. I see it at Small Business USA. I know you see it in your practice.
And the first thing I usually say is stop. Stop whatever you're doing because you're probably hurting yourself. You're confusing yourself and the people in the market. Once people can figure out why they're different, and sometimes that's hard. I've helped a lot of people through that. The next most critical thing is to identify your customers. Unfortunately, people don't do that. And then again, they go out and try to find these people, and they're everywhere, and you can contact them a million different ways nowadays. And people will often ask me, Tom, what's the best way of doing that? I'm going, well, who are they and where are they? And once you figure that out, finding them really isn't all that hard. But people don't take that series of steps to get to that point. So they shortcut it by listening to the first person that knocks on their door, the most interesting email they receive, or whatever comes through the mail, or what have you, and go, oh, I need to do that. Or their ego gets in the way and they want to do a podcast or video cast, or they want to be on TV or radio or what have you. Then things are really screwed up. So it's really getting down to the basics. And for many people, that's really hard to do because it's such a simple question that often is very, very difficult to answer.
I just gave a referral yesterday to one of our members who does managed services. And it was kind of interesting because the business owner said, Colleen, what do I tell this marketer about marketing me? And I'm like, you know, before you start, just because someone is great at managed services doesn't mean that they truly, truly understand who you are.
Correct.
I said, you know what? This is a marketer that you're talking to. I want you to talk until you run out of breath telling them who you are, because your marketing is only as good, no matter how professional and brilliant that marketer, professional marketer is, your marketing is only as good as how well they know you and know those two questions, right?
Absolutely. One of the things that it's not troubling to me, but where people get into trouble themselves is there are a lot of good marketers, as you said, out there, but they only will market what you present to them. And if that's not truly you, or if you're trying to be something you're not, you're going to have trouble because they're going to hand the ball to you. And now what? You can't back it up. You can't communicate that message. You'll garble it. You'll confuse people by saying different things. And it'll actually allow you to go backwards sometimes because people are going to go, you're too confusing. I really don't know what you do. And unfortunately, there's a lot of marketing people out there who will assume that they know you and take that and move it forward. And if you don't know the difference, all I say is good luck with that because you'll just get lost, unfortunately.
I really believe in the Pareto principle. And you know that. You hear in boards, I feel the same way in what you do every day as a business owner. But what I see is business owners overspend about 80%. So 20% of their marketing is effective and 80% is ineffective. And when they really look at what's effective for them, if they could learn to double that and focus on that and prioritize properly, they can save so much money and time because a lot of small business owners are doing it themselves. So how do they go about choosing the right vehicles for them, Tom?
I think the place to start, and again, I keep saying, you have to know why you're different, but you have to really understand who your particular customers are. Again, let's use that Pareto principle, the top 80%. Sometimes doesn't bring in the 80% income. It's the top 20% of your customers that brings in 80% of your income. So you look at the top 20% and you figure out, where are they? How did you connect with them? Why are they staying with you? There are so many ways of connecting to them. The problem is that today, and if you think about it, like you and I, we get bombarded with messages every day, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
Right.
Which ones stand out? Which ones do you read? And it's not always the little hooks or the clever introductions that get you, because sometimes those are just distractions in amongst themselves. So once you figure out exactly who your customers are, where they are, then you can go back and take a look at the palette of different marketing tools, sales techniques, communication tools, all these online connectors. Which ones are going to get you there the cleanest, most efficiently, and most effectively? And often there have been times when I said, you know what, your picture should be on a pizza placement mat, because that's where your customers are. And they're going to sit there and read, and they're going to find you. Or perhaps you need to spend money and do a particular ad in some type of venue, whether it's hate to say it, newspapers, sometimes that works, or video casts, or on some online like Facebook, Pinterest, what have you. Get yourself out there and known. But people tend to do it backward. They like, oh, I got to be out in all these places. And then if you happen to see them in various places and it appears different, you're going to ignore them. And that's usually what happens to most people. They're doing nothing, or they're doing too many things inconsistently, and they're not reaching anybody.
Well said. We have a member who specializes in hot water heaters down in New Jersey. And it's a great story, because when we looked at all the money that they were spending on marketing as a company, this company just overspent grossly. And I said, well, where does your business come from? He said, well, we take out this little penny saver ad, and it costs us, $25 a week, and we offer a $100 coupon off a new hot water heater, and we mention how much you're going to save a year by changing out their old hot water heater. And every time business gets slow, we run that ad. Like, if it works, use it. Like, if you double that effort and eliminate the $300 a month you're spending on managed services and some of these other things, will happen. And the change is amazing. Sometimes the answer, we're so worried about prioritizing, and I always say masterminds sometimes are the kiss of death. Like, I love our CEO roundtables, but they're run by guys like you, who you've worked really hard to know each individual business owner. You've worked really hard to figure out what works and what doesn't work before they sit around at that table. So they can't buy into 25 different ideas and get derailed by something that's not going to work. Sometimes, to your point, it's as simple as that pizza placemat, right? Or the church bulletin or whatever. But sometimes we have the answers right in front of us. So I'm going to talk about some of the new things, Tom, and I want you to weigh in.
Sure.
What do you think about them? So Facebook Live, right? Taking over the world. What do you think?
I think there's a place for that. I'm an advocate of knowing who you are as a person. Some people don't like to even hear their voice over the radio or over a tape. If you're comfortable in front of a camera, if you're comfortable in front of anyone, then any of these types, whether it's Facebook Live or Snapchat or what have you, I think are great venues if you have the right message and your audience is on the other side of that. So I think that's great. But when people aren't comfortable and they're using those types of tools, it comes across as fake or staged. Okay. And your customer they're not building that rapport. I don't care what people say. People buy from people they like. Yeah, and even though you can reach a lot more people more quickly nowadays, they still have to like you. And if you don't come across as likable, you're not going to get that customer. We
were talking to a group that uses Periscope pretty heavily. Periscope, Twitter Live, super, super heavily. And they invest so much of their time every single week in doing that, in just doing these podcasts and live events. And I'll tell you, what's amazing is when we went back, they've been doing it for over a year in different formats, versions, but for over a year, they've been using this live format. And when we looked at how much time they spent versus how many clients they've obtained from that, it was ridiculous. They didn't receive any. They had very, very little payback, return on investment from that. So how long, in your opinion, do you test something like the podcast? For me, it works, but I think it works because we send our podcast to people who already know us. Right. And this just reminds us we're here. It reinforces us. It kind of shows who we are, the talent, the people that we surround ourselves with, like you, right? But how long do you stick with something before you say, this isn't the right thing for me? I'm going to answer that in two parts. The first one, to pick a number, I want to say 6 months because it may only take 2, but most of the time people don't have the fortitude, ability to do anything consistently, even if it's once a week for that period of time. That's usually their downfall. So it's going to take some time. There's always a runway, and it depends what type of business you're in, how long that runway is. The second part of that is, and let's use podcasts as an example. People say, well, Tom, I don't know if anyone's going to listen to my podcast. I'm going, doesn't matter. And they go, what do you mean by that? Well, if you record a podcast and post a short blog and you post it somewhere, what's automatically going to happen is the internet spiders are going to start finding you. So if you can do that consistently, not all that often, but consistently over a long period of time, at least the internet is going to know that you exist, and your customers will sometimes accidentally find you. So if you can get something like that going, it doesn't have to be a podcast, it could be a blog, could be short emails, it could be something you post on your website. You get that going slowly, at least now you're in the game. And then you can tweak and fine-tune your crafted message to your targeted audience, again, slowly with different interesting information over a period of time. And over 3, 4, 5 months or so, you're going to start seeing people finding you and asking you questions and engaging with you. Then the sales process begins. But it's a very slow, arduous task. I'm on the older side. I remember when I was in school, which we won't count those years, but people would reach you 3, 4 times potentially before they engaged you in any type of sale. Today, I think the number is 13 to 15 times. It may even be higher than that. So you've got to get out there and touch a lot of people often with interesting information before they engage with you. So it's a multiple prong attack, and that's why I keep saying you've got to really know yourself and, quote, thy customer, so that
you can take from this vast array of opportunity out there and narrow it down to the select few that are going to actually bring you the business you want.
Well said. You know, we talked a little bit about this, but I've always held close a for you strategy. So add the words for me or for you at the end of everything that you said, at the end of every question you have around marketing. So is Facebook Live the right format for you?
Correct.
And I think when you look at for you, it encompasses a whole bunch of different things, but is it right for you personally? Is it right for your clients? Is it right for your time management? But is it right for you? And those people that try to do something that you mentioned it a little bit, that isn't for you, the one that isn't natural, that's when you kind of lose it. That's when you become inauthentic and people don't trust you. So I think you have to find what's right for you. It's just like selling, right? The way that you sell and the way that I sell is completely different.
Correct.
If I tried to sell like you, it would not work for me, right?
Correct.
We all have our own styles. Fundamentally, there's some core similarities, but the same stands with marketing. It's got to be right for you. Like Snapchat, it's one of the fastest growing, fastest moving marketing tools in the world right now. It's not for me. It doesn't align. I'm not comfortable with it. I don't get it. I can't be consistent because I don't do it consistently. If I had somebody that was creative and it didn't have to be about stories about me and my business, I might be a lot better at it, but it's not good for me. And I just challenge everybody to ask that question. Add that for me at the end of every question that you have.
I'm going to jump in a second. I actually like that for me, or what's in it for you, because I tell people you have to internalize your sales process. By that, and you hit the nail on the head, there are all sorts of sales processes out there or education tools to engage yourself with someone else that are valid. They make a lot of sense, but if they don't come true from your own personal heart, from your own personality, and you don't own them, they are going to come across as a script. And most people can recognize a script a mile away. And scripted people, personally, I don't trust, because it's someone else's line. So internalizing.
Hold on a minute. Let me throw my script away.
Exactly. So, I'll share with people the elements of a script, and then I say, now we got to make it yours. And then I go back to, why are they different? What's unique about you? What are you trying to convey to the other party? And when that happens and you feel good about that and it comes across as natural, now you're going to have a conversation going on. And that's when the business really happens.
People forget that the things that they're most proud of, the reason why you created this business, those things all come from your heart. What makes you best is so real and authentic. And once you capture that, and I want to say, Tom, you are brilliant at doing that. That is what everybody has their gifts. That is absolutely one of your gifts.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And the only reason I sort of know that is I took a little test about 10 years ago that sort of gave me a hint as to why I can do what I do. And now, because I know that, I can actually rely on it more than, wow, that was a real educated guess. So I do have that ability to pull that out of people. And a lot of it has to do with the experience of being on the other side of the table and being anxious and having to do things the hard way. So I hate that, and I'm real sensitive to that. So if I can help people get past that through whatever tools that are available and able to be internalized by that person, then I think I've done something. And it usually gives them an open door as to the possibilities where they can actually excel and be themselves and engage with others. And that goes a long way with whether you're doing business or seeking a job or talking to anyone about anything for that matter.
Hey, let's pull the last 3 minutes here together of this and talk about personalized marketing. So just for anybody who isn't kind of on this bandwagon, this is where marketing is going. There's technology out there that is so smart right now. I look at things that we're doing with Networking Golf and things that are coming up with Small Business USA, where we can highlight clients who have shopped for products like ours in the past and specifically target them. But I want you to think about personalized marketing, and Tom, I'll let you weigh in. But I want to, I was a waitress That's how I paid for college way back when. And I'm not counting those years either. But when, personalized marketing is when you walk into a restaurant and the waitress turns to you and says, are you going to have your brandy tonight again? Or can I get you that gin and tonic you have? They know who you are, and they know your favorite seat, and they know how you like your napkin or whatever. It's those little nuances that say, I know who you are, and you're important to me. And that's where marketing is going. So as we kind of take that personalized marketing into the future, what do you see happening, Tom? What do you value the most from this topic?
It's funny. It's almost like what goes around comes around. I guess this is the way it was pre-internet era. I think right now what I see is people pulling back a little bit from the automated and the technologically driven marketing tools a little bit. And to your point about making them personal, people are starting to share a little bit more about themselves or more about why their businesses are the way they are. I don't think it's gone that far yet, but to your point, I think people are starting to think about it, which is a good thing, because instead of reaching people 13 to 15 times, maybe if you did this in a more personal manner, you only need to touch them back to 2, 3, or 4 times. But the key is, what is that? It can't be someone else's shtick. It can't be someone else's message. It's got to be your own. So you need to craft that, and you need to talk to a lot of your trusted advisors and customers and vendors and make sure you really know what that is. It's unfortunate that the famous people tend to have brands created for them and they can just fulfill those types of promises. Most people, their brands are constructed by their customers. So if you can find out what that is and leverage that a little bit, I think you have something. And it'll be interesting to see over the next couple of years who and even what tools are created out there that help people get that message across more effectively through all this internet and communication noise that's out there.
One thing I would challenge people is start today. Like if you have a Constant Contact or MailChimp or whatever that is, start today tagging people with what their hobbies are, things that you've learned about them. Go in there and update those profiles, because that's where we're going. You're going to, maybe I'm wrong, but I foresee we're going to start saying, okay, well, here's a group that plays golf. And not only because it's near and dear to my heart, right, Tom, with networking golf, but here's this group that plays golf. I'm going to specifically send them an email because they're golfers and Arnold Palmer just passed away or whatever the issue is, and just say, hey, I was thinking about you. This is a big day for all of us. Maybe we could get out on the golf course together, whatever that is. But it's about segmenting them, making sure that you use their name. If you don't have everybody's name plugged in and your drip campaigns are going out to, hey, you, that's probably not a great idea right now. You probably need to go down and start drilling down and tagging and adding names and making sure that your information is correct. Because I think where we're going with marketing is going to be a little more personalized. And to your point, Tom, it's going to make us more effective as business owners and business leaders.
I totally agree. A lot of people ask, Tom, what do you use for a CRM? I'm like, well, here's what I do. I have probably, 1,100 names on an Outlook file. And I'll say on Thursday, I've got 2 extra hours. I'm going to pick the letter J and just pick 10 names randomly from that list. It's amazing. If you know anything about statistics, you'd be surprised how well that works, because you can get a room with 30 people and almost always there's one person that has the same birthday as someone else. Uh-huh. And there's a connection there. So you don't need that many hits to find a customer. And it sounds overly simplistic, but when you do that, it forces you to send a personal message. There's nothing worse than I get an email from someone that I know. It has my name but it's not Tom. They put Thomas, and it's all capital letters. I'm going, the machine did it. Okay. And it's like, it's delete because I already don't like this. So you can use the same email message, just change someone's name, but you change a couple words here and there. It causes you just to think a little bit about, again, personalizing it. And it doesn't take a whole lot of time. I think people overthink that. If you keep it really simple, you'd be surprised the connections that you can make rather quickly without using a lot of automation.
One of my favorite tools has been doing something just like that. We ran out of time today, but it's really about we've talked about the circle of influence and your top 20 people and what do you do with that group. But we'll have to talk about that another day because our time is up. Tom, I think you really kind of pointed us into asking the right questions for how to go about choosing where we market and how we market. But in the event people have more questions, and I hope you do, I hope you reach out to Tom or myself. But Tom, how should they reach out to you? What's the best way for them to get?
Probably the best way to do that is just send me an email because I'm always on that, although it's not on my phone for another reason we'll talk about another time. But it's at em.bc@cox.net. That's the best way to send me a short question or comment or what have you, and I'll happily respond in kind.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was
welcome.
Awesome.
It's been fun.
Great information. Thank you so much. And if anybody has any questions, it's info@smallbusinessus.com. And I can direct you to Tom. I can get you answers that you need. So feel free to reach out to us, info@smallbusinessus.com. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And here's to successful, happy, fun, and productive marketing.